The Vex model and texture have been changed and are now more similar to the LA. Something MLG wanted but forgot to mention is that the hitbox has been enlarged to make it easier to fight. Though, looking at this clip, it looks like MLG had a tough time fighting it, but I assume it's because of how laggy his game is. After nearly 6 years, a new head was finally added to Minecraft, the Piglin's head. If you didn't know, the Ender Dragon head was a functional block. All you had to do is activate it using redstone. The Piglin head is also functional, but we'll get to it later. Heads are no longer a decoration block. They also have a very interesting feature now. If you place any of the heads on a node block and activate it, it will play the mob's ambient sounds. You can obtain Piglin's head only if a charged creeper explodes and kills it. The Piglin head will flap its ears when powered by redstone or when worn by a player while walking. Fill biome is a new command added to the game. It's very similar to the fill command, but instead of filling specific areas with specific blocks, fill the specific area with the specific biome. So, for example, if you want the grass to be more green, you can change them from the current one to mushroom fields. Something to take note of, you can use this to prevent mobs from spawning at specific regions. A great example is replacing the biome with mushroom fields, or the deep dark. If you want to prevent them from spawning on the surface, just include the Y level of that surface. If you want them to not spawn in caves too, make sure to include the entire Y level from the surface and below. The status effect also got a minor update. This one isn't something special, but the time shown on status effects has been changed. Previously, applying too much time will just show a bunch of stars, but now you can finally see the exact time left. Books in chiseled bookshelves can be added or removed from any slot by targeting the specific slot instead of filling the next empty slot as it did before. The texture of the scaffolding has been changed to match the 1.20 experimental bamboo blocks, making them a bit darker. It looks like these updates are bringing Minecraft Java Edition and Bedrock Edition a few steps closer. For instance, a few items were added to the inventory in Java Edition. This includes the Illager banner, 3 fireworks with 3 stages of duration, and a monster spawner. On top of that, all suspicious Jews were also added to the inventory. The mob spawner got a few updates. If you remember, the mob spawner used to simply be called spawner, but they renamed it back to monster spawner like it used to be before 1.13. Monster spawners no longer have a pig in them and flame particles by default. You can pig block the monster spawner by clicking the mouse button. If you hold the control button, you'll get the monster spawner with its NBT tag. That is, unless the monster spawner is empty. Creepers can now be ignited by using a fire charge on it. Mob farmers prepare for a big disappointment because endermen, skeletons and wither skeletons now only spawn at light level 7 and below in the nether, instead of 11 and below. That is to nerf certain portal based mob farms. So before you update your world, make sure to pick it up or stay at your current game version. There are 7 new game rules. The first 3 are all explosion drop decay. Usually when something that isn't a TNT explodes, many of the dropped items disappear, leaving us with a minimum amount of blocks. This is where block and mob explosion drop decay comes in handy. By default, the 2 are set to true, but if you set them to false, all exploded blocks will be dropped. TNT explosion drop decay was also added. By default, it is set to false, though I don't see a reason to set it to true since TNT is a great tool for quickly getting blocks. Snow accumulation height allows you to control the natural maximum stacking of snow layers when it's snowing. By default, the height is set to 1. But you can set it higher if you want, or set it to 0 if you don't want snow layers to appear at all. Water source conversion is set to true by default, but if you set it to false, making infinite water sources won't be possible. Lava source conversion is set to false by default, but if we set it to true, we can finally make infinite lava sources. And finally, global sound events, whether certain sound events are heard by all players regardless of location. Mojang added the following splash texts: "You are valid," "I'm glad you're here," "You're welcome here," "Your gender is valid," "Contains infinite genders," and "Made with lave," which I think is supposed to be made with love or made with lava. I don't know why it's lave, leave, I don't know what that is. Many of these new splashes refer to gender identity. added telemetry data collection screen, displays information about the type of data that is sent. The level of data sent can be controlled between minimal and all. Minimal sends only the required data, while all sends the required data as well as optional data. It's not something you're supposed to be concerned about. The information is mostly what game version you're using, whether it is modded or not, what PC specs you have, and so on. Nothing too important. For the past few updates, it looked like Mojang weren't too sure about the bundle and what to do with it, so at some point you could only access it with commands. However, now you can access it by enabling the data pack, which is by the way how future snapshots will work from now on. Why did they decide to add it to a separate data pack and not to the original game even though it was announced in 2020? That's a great question. Do you remember during Minecraft Live 2020, Mojang announced the Wild update that everyone was so excited about, but then people started worrying about? We did eventually get the word in, but archeology never made it. Could that mean that archeology will make a comeback and finally be added to the game? I mean, they did mention that this update will take longer to release because they want to work more with the community, and they even mentioned that there are some features they haven't shown us yet. To make it even better, a Minecraft developer tweeted this short tweet which contains 2 suspicious hints. Done and dusted, and we're gonna dig for you. If this is what we think it is, Minecraft 1.20 won't be disappointing as many people thought it would. I'm honestly really excited about this update and what features will be shown soon. Well, this is what we got so far. If everything goes well, Minecraft 1.19.3 will be released on December 6th.